this time they earned their way in with 2 weeks to spare, actually. And, Leo, they go down to Houston, and I'll tell you what, this is a team, I think going down to Jacksonville the first year, we knew that Bills team probably wasn't going to beat Jacksonville. That Jacksonville team ended up almost going to the Super Bowl if they hadn't screwed up at the end against the Patriots. So that was a game the Bills I didn't think had a chance to win. This time, I think they absolutely can go down in Houston and get a win. What do you think?
Yeah, well, going back to that Tyrod Taylor's team, yeah, I mean, it was struggling offensively. It was actually statistically pretty similar to Josh Allen's offense. The big difference here is that Jacksonville defense was number 2.
Yeah.
I think in number 2 in yards and points allowed.
Very good defense.
It was an awesome year for them. They've since shows you how quickly things can turn on. That's why it's great. Just to get off track, it's great that the Bills have made the playoffs. And I asked Coach McDermott this yesterday: is there's no time like the present, because there's no guarantees about next year and the year after that. The Bills are on an ascending course, but there's no guarantees. So. I think the big difference here, Sal, is again, this offense can go down with Josh Allen, and they got a chance against a defense that looks pretty vulnerable in the Texans. We were just talking about how they rank 30th and 31st, I think, or very near the bottom.
The
third downs and red zone defense.
31st in the league in third down conversions against. Only Washington was worse, but if you look at the playoff teams, this is the lowest. That's the worst ranking of a third down defense since the merger of playoff teams. Yeah. So that tells you something that
almost 50% of the time teams are converting third downs on
third
this
down.
defense.
So the Bills, I think, are going to have some opportunities, especially if they can get into. I mentioned this point on the radio a little while ago. One of the problems this year for the Bills, especially late in the year, because they've played 6 straight top 10 defenses, by the way, and they're finally going to get a defense that's not that highly ranked. They've not done a great job on first and second down towards the end of the year here,
right.
And that's going to be important, because if they can get into manageable third down against this defense, I think they're going to be able to move the sticks pretty frequently, and hopefully that will lead to them finally beating the 20-point barrier, which has become an issue for this team, especially late in the year. So you're right about that. This Houston defense, they're going to get J.J. Watt back, I guess, probably in this game. It seems that the winds are blowing that way. But absolutely, this is not a solid, really dangerous defense. They've got some really good players. But as a unit, I think the Bills can certainly get some things going. And like I said, they've had so much trouble because they've played 6 straight, since the Miami game in November, 6 straight defenses that are in the top 10. So it's about time the Bills get a easier game, I think.
Yeah, it's been a gauntlet. It's kind of like they've been kind of like taking a baseball bat with and they're allowed to remove the donut now. They can it's going to feel, going against defense is going to feel like they have a chance, I think, to move the ball a little bit. And they got to score points. And again, that's going to be on the flip side is that the really good Bills defense is facing a really good Texans offense. So it's one of those games, I wrote today, it's a scenario where something's got to give on both sides. And I think, we haven't touched that, on the offensive side. This is Josh Allen's first playoff game.
Yeah.
It's not Deshaun Watson's. In fact, he'd be 3 for 3 if he didn't hurt his knee as a rookie, because he was having a heck of a season that year.
Yep.
And so that's going to count for something. And I like Josh's attitude this week. He's got the attitude that it's just another game. You can say that, but come Saturday, it's going to be a really big game. And But I do like that they were tested. They were building up to this.
They were.
And it got big on Thanksgiving in Dallas. It got big in Pittsburgh on a nighttime. It got big in New England.
In New England. You think about it, the last part of the season, there was the Dallas game, the Pittsburgh game, New England. All of those games the Bills were the only game in town at that time. That's what you're looking for as a franchise. You want to get in those types of games. Those are big-time games. That means you're a winning team, and you're put into windows on the networks where you're the only game on. It's going to be the same thing on Saturday. This is the only game at 4:30 on Saturday afternoon. So I think the players themselves, Leo, I think they don't get quite caught up in that like we do. To them, it's a regular game for them. It's the field dimensions I wrote this. The field dimensions are the same. Everything about the game is the same. Yeah, more people are going to be watching it, and obviously Saturday the stakes are higher because if you lose, you go home. But I don't think they get wrapped up in that national TV thing like fans do, and maybe even us. So for them, it'll be fine, but it is obviously a little bit more pressure because you lose and you're done. I think the Bills, like you said, though, they have been tested in this situation. They did pretty well. They beat Dallas. They beat Pittsburgh on the road, lost to the Patriots. But I think this is a team, this is what Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have been building, Leo. Accountability, culture. You get guys that are stable. You get, your process. We always hear about process. They've done all these things. So that's why I think this Bills team is prepared to go on the road and win.
Yeah, well, and again, we're always going to reflect on 2017 and how that team just made it by the skin of their teeth. It was euphoric. They were like, oh my God, we made it. The Bengals beat the Ravens on a miracle play at the end and they're in. This one is, like you said, they had it wrapped up with 2 games to go, and last week was just, last Sunday against the Jets was just please, can we get this out of the way? It was agonizing.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl era Bills. That's
but
what
you
last
look at
Sunday
that
was.
in that locker room on Sunday, my God, it was, wow. It wasn't this champagne celebration that was in Miami 2 years ago. So that's all good. That's all pointing towards the right direction. And, I think they will, I think, like attitude-wise, I think they are ready. Seeing guys yesterday, McDermott can't have them really much better prepared. I know they will be prepared.
And there were guys that played. There's not many guys left who played on the 17 team, but a few of those guys even said this week, "Look, we earned this." That year, 2017, a lot of things fell our way, and we kind of did slide in the back door, which they obviously did. The guys that are still here, they realize this Bills team, like we said at the very top of the show, this team earned its way in to the playoffs, and they go in as a team that I think other teams in the playoffs look at as a potentially hard out. I mean, I would guess that the Texans aren't exactly thrilled that they're getting the Bills. I think they realize this Buffalo team, they may be the 5th seed, but they can definitely come down and give the Texans problems. So
I think
that's good.
I think the game that's more relevant than 20, I don't know, we're talking about Jacksonville, but the game that's most relevant, obviously, is the Bills and Texans last season.
Right.
And it was just a defensive struggle to the max.
Until Nate Peterman came
in. 13-13 game, and then Josh, well, I guess when he got hurt, it was they were trailing. It was tied. No, I think it was tied when he got hurt.
Peterman actually put them ahead.
They got a field goal with Peterman, and then and then Houston got a field goal. It's 13-13 at the very end, and one of Nate's worst interceptions, and he had some doozies. But anyway, they lost on a pick
It's a
six.
lengthy list, Leo.
And that was that. So you don't think the Bills are thinking, wow. I mean, who knows what was going to – I mean, that was it was really a mistake-filled game on both sides.
It was.
Each side had 3 turnovers. Hell, they sacked Deshaun Watson 7 times. That's unheard of. He had 2 yards rushing.
Right.
It's an unreal. And
now the Texans have improved their line since then, though.
Yes.
And that's probably not going to happen again this week.
Yes.
Because they have improved. Laramie Tunsil's there now.
Oh, they're a better offense. There's no doubt about it. And that was a Texans playoff team, though. So that team made the playoffs.
Let's go to the defensive side first for the Bills because there's obviously the Texans have got probably the 2 best offensive players that we're going to see in this game in Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, who had 104 catches this year. This is going to be key, Leo. I think I'm looking at some comments today from Trey White. I'm looking at Twitter. Leo and I are here doing this, so we weren't over today. And apparently they're giving off the impression that he may not be shadowing DeAndre Hopkins. Now, that could be all just, saying that in the media. But even Leslie Frazier was commenting that we might not do that this week because the Texans have got a really good stable of receivers. If Will Fuller plays, and we're not sure yet, he's going to be a game-time decision according to the people in Houston today. He's their deep threat, and I think they're 8-3 when he plays and 2-3 when he doesn't something. He makes a big difference for their offense because if he's in there, it pulls a little bit of the coverage away from DeAndre Hopkins. So I think one of the big matchups in this game, Leo, if Fuller plays, if Trey White, if he ends up shadowing Hopkins, can really do a decent job, you're never going to stop him, but if they can contain him, I think that allows the Bills to spread the defense around and account for Will Fuller and Kenny Stills, both of their tight ends. They've combined for 70 catches and 9 touchdowns. They've got some weapons, Leo. So the Bills' defense can't concentrate everything on DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to have to,
I think maybe
deploy resources everywhere.
This is in hearing Frazier. That is the. I don't know. I mean, if you do just stick, White on Hopkins and you think he's going to win 100% of those battles? No, he's not. So I don't know if that's. I mean, it would be they would go toe to toe. There's no doubt. They're two great players. But like you say, it's expecting a lot out of Trey White to shut a guy down like that.
Right.
It's not going to happen. And the Bills play a ton of zone though too, Sal.
They do.
And
it's not one-on-one. I understand that.
So I think they're. Hey, big game for the safeties, obviously. The key about the Texans are a big play offense too. They can hit those big plays, and
right.
the Bills don't give up.
They don't give
plays.
them up, exactly.
You know, with two of the best safeties and Poyer and Hyde. So it's really it's a great chess match. I think, you know, I do believe. Hey, you got to expect them to score some points. If the Bills were hold them to 17 points, which is about their average, you know,
I think they should win the game.
The question is, can the Bills score more than 17, which is what they got against New England, which is what they got against Baltimore. They got to be better than that.
Exactly.
This really, we've asked a lot of this, we've talked a lot about this Bills defense, and they've had a heck of a year, and they are legit. I mean, I got to say. The defense that went down to Jacksonville 2 years ago, I mean, Sean McDermott was just building this thing. It was just coming around. They got better last year, and they got really good this year.
Yeah, they are.
It is ready. It is ready for this stage. It is ready to be a playoff, championship caliber defense.
I think
the issue is offense, Sal.
It is. I think pass rush is going to be important, Leo. If they can get Watson to make quick decisions and maybe give him, a little bit of anxiety back in the pocket, that will help things because the Bills secondary has been so good. If he has to make a quick decision, chances are there won't be anybody open because the Bills have done such a good job in coverage. So I think pass rush is going to be important. That's why hopefully they're going to have Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson's probably been their best end this year.
I wasn't even going to mention the rub, but we didn't bring up Lawson's injury with the hamstring. And
right.
He's got to be ready. It's not even so much the rush cell, it's really the containment. And they did a great job on Lamar Jackson.
They did.
With containing. He did throw 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
He's an amazing player. But they did about as good a job as you could on Lamar Jackson.
I would argue that's the best job anybody's done this year against Lamar Jackson. Yeah. So,
and a big key was lost in that game. He did really good, set the edge, and did a really nice job.
So he's an important player for them. They say he's been working all week. You were out there yesterday. Yeah. He was on the field. You just don't know with a hamstring injury how much that impacts a guy. Obviously, it hurts a guy who's going to be out in space more. But Shaq Lawson's a key guy for them. Trent Murphy, not quite sure what to make of him. He got 2 sacks last week, but that's a good sign. Hopefully, maybe he's got something figured out. And then Jerry Hughes. I wrote in my I wrote a thing, 5 key players to watch for the Bills, like guys that really have to come to play and win. And I put Jerry Hughes in there, Leo, because everyone talks about he's getting pressure. Well, according to Pro Football Focus, he wasn't getting pressure. He had 26, according to them, 26 less pressures this year than he did in 2018. He only had 4 sacks this year. So I think teams have done a pretty decent job on Jerry Hughes. And you would figure Laramie Tunsil's probably going to get Hughes for the bulk of the game. Yeah. They're going to need something from the other side in this game. That means Lawson and Murphy. And obviously the tackles have to do their thing too. But I think that's a key.
Hughes has been quietly hurt all year.
I think so too. He has not been the dominant force.
He's not the guy
that
he was. He's played through a lot of stuff. Hasn't whined or complained about it. Just kind of doing what he's got to do.
Right, exactly.
Doing what he's got to do to get ready.
But you can definitely tell the impact is it's not quite there.
Yeah, he's got a myriad of lower body stuff and just to steal a hockey phrase.
Yeah.
So he's kind of he's just kind of pushing through because they have to have him. They don't have the depth.
Which is why edge rusher is going to have to be a major thing in the draft.
For our draft show.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just they're definitely going to be in need of an edge rusher in the draft. All right, let's flip over on the offense, Leo. And we've sort of talked about this, but the fact that they can't score more than 17 points a game is an issue. In the playoffs, I don't care how good your defense is, and this defense is really good. You got to outscore teams, Leo. And they just have not been able to do it. It's been frustrating. I think Josh Allen has made progress this season. Going into his 3rd year, there'll be something more to build on, and that's great. But when you get right down to it, scoring 17 a game in the NFL today is just not good enough. And, look, we know Houston's got a good offense. They're going to score. Bills have got to find a way to at least stay even with them and hopefully push forward at the very end there.
The Bills... The best thing about the Bills' offense, Sal, probably at times this year was their those long drives that they were putting together for a while.
Yeah, I know.
They weren't really, maybe they're getting field goals or whatever, but it allowed their defense to excel. Gave them a lot of rest. I think I had the numbers here somewhere, but the Bills played defensively. They faced a lot less plays, which is a big deal. And like in 2017, the Bills defense faced 1,015 plays. This year they faced 985. It's a factor. You're on the field less, and your numbers get better. You're helping. So they were complementary in that regard. But you're right. Where are you going with an offense? I mean, this team averages one more point than they did in 2017.
Right.
It's really not.
And they have more talent on this team.
And they do have more
than
talent.
2017.
And you would think, it's funny, but Tyrod Taylor's numbers are really similar to what Josh Allen has produced this year.
They are.
And the difference, of course, is Josh is in his second year. Tyrod was probably in his fifth. And Josh has been good with game-winning drives, but lately not so much. He hasn't really come through not so much, has he?
The Pittsburgh game, he came through. The drive against the Patriots at the end was a good drive to get him there. They just couldn't finish it, which was unfortunate. What has he got this year? 4? I think it's 4 fourth quarter game-winning drives.
Yeah.
So he has shown a penchant.
4, and then there's 4 fourth quarter, 5 game-winning drives, which is having the drive that ends up being the winning drive.
Right. So I mean, he showed a penchant for rising in the big moments, but you need more from him in the first 3 quarters, quite frankly. That's where he hasn't been the quarterback that the Bills need him to be. So a lot's going to be on him in this game, Leo. But I also think his teammates are going to have big games. They've got to give him help. John Brown, Cole Beasley, they got a week off last week, Singletary too. These guys have all got to step up, Leo, and play big roles in the game. Because like we said, I think there's going to be opportunities for the Bills to make plays. This Houston defense is not one of the elite defenses in the NFL. And if Brian Daboll can come in with a good, diverse game plan and the Bills take care of the ball, there's no reason to think that the Bills can't put up enough points to win. But all those guys have got to come and have their best games of the year.
Like you mentioned earlier about their problems on first and second down. Now, if Singletary, he's rested. They gave the rookie off last week.
Yeah. Which made sense. You don't want him to get
absolutely, because they don't have, they don't have much at running back. They really don't. We love Frank Gore, but
Frank Gore's done.
They're not looking to him to win them this game. Everyone talked about Yeldon, but at this point, they're probably not going to play.
I don't think he's going to be active.
He'd probably be active, and they're going to, who would you rather have, Yeldon in there or Frank Gore? Yeldon on screen passes. Don't get us started on all that.
Leo, it's an argument we could have been made.
They're going to do it out of respect.
They're
going to do it out of respect to Frank Gore. I get it. I don't know, but Yeldon he's a nice player. He really is. It seems like they got some weapon there that they just sat in the garage all year. So but Singletary's going to be a really key guy. He's had a nice rookie year. He came 31 yards shy of 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Mm-hmm. He's a nice little player. I don't think he's the long-term solution.
You keep saying that. You don't think. I think he could be their back for a few years here. Yeah. I do. I think. I think you can plug. We've talked about this. I could be wrong.
I hope so. I love the kid. Great attitude.
It just seems like
everything.
You can plug a lot of guys in. You don't need Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, look at the Cowboys. They had him. Where are they? They're not in the playoffs. You don't need a stud superstar running back.
I hope I'm wrong. I just see. With his physical stature over time, I don't see him being. Guy. I don't see him being that guy. But, like you said, running backs are disposable. But the Bills got to go. They're going to have to get another one.
Well, there's no doubt. They're
not bringing Frank Gore back,
No, I don't think they're bringing Gore back. And they're probably not bringing Yeldon back. I think Yeldon signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah, well, he was 1 year.
So I don't think they're going to bring him back either.
But Singletary's a fun little player to watch. And I know he's a concern for the Texans, trying to stop this guy who just doesn't quit. He just keeps going forward.
What has bothered me is that, and my thing with special teams, and I just refuse to believe that having Sonoris Perry, who's the 4th string running back, active all year just for special teams, and you dry docked TJ Yeldon, who can help your offense as a pass catcher. I just think that was a questionable move. But again, these guys, they love special teams. That's why Robert Foster is playing and not Duke Williams. People have been clamoring for Duke Williams all year. Robert Foster's playing because he plays special teams, and he has the speed that if they ever decide to use it, maybe he can break a big play. Duke Williams doesn't give him that. So there's a couple guys that we've kind of questioned all year. Why are they active? And, hey, they're in the playoffs. They know what they're doing, I guess. But I think I would have done things slightly different. I'm going to go to a couple comments here because Leo, we've got listeners today in England and Ireland.
Wow.
How's that? Jonty D, love you too, watching in England. He wants to know, are the Bills fortunate to be on the road in this poor season? Well, I think he means because the Bills were 4-4 at home this year. They were 6-2 at home. Maybe they are. Maybe they are a better road team this year. The record would prove that. I looked it up, Leo. This is the first time since 2008 that they had a better road record than home record, and it's only the second time this century they were better on the road than at home. So I don't know. They've certainly proved that they can go into some tough places. Dallas, turns out they probably weren't a very good team. Tough place to play, 90,000 people in that building.
And
obviously Pittsburgh, we both thought that was the toughest home field advantage the Bills had to play against all year, and they got it done. So, and Houston is going to be loud because it's a dome stadium, but I don't think anybody around the league thinks that the Houston crowd is the most, is the toughest road crowd to be going against. It ain't Philadelphia. You know what I mean? It's not Pittsburgh. It's not quite the same thing.
The NRG Stadium's not exactly Lambeau.
Yeah.
So
it's a place they can go in for sure.
They know how to go. They go down there and they'll. We talked about their mental toughness. It is a mentally tough team.
It is.
And it really is. And they take after. They've embodied their head coach in that regard, and they're going to be fine. It's a good question, and they are. They're going to be on the road for the playoffs. They're
unless
ready.
Tennessee makes a run and the Bills make a run, it's not going to be at New Era Field. So we also have John Patrick, who's watching from Ireland. Hello, John Patrick, in Ireland, and he has Duke, Yeldon, Sweeney ? Asking if any of those guys are going to be active. I would prefer that for sure two of those guys were Sweeney and Yeldon. I don't think any of them are. I think they're going to stick with Tyler Kroft as the backup tight end to Dawson Knox, and Lee Smith plays because he's a blocker. He plays about 25 to 30% of the snaps. So you've got him. So I like Tommy Sweeney.
Sweeney's a nice looking young tight end, I tell you.
He played
with
early.
Dawson Knox.
He played early in the year when Kroft was out, and he made a few plays. And then he comes in last week. He was 5 for 76.
Yeah.
It seems like everything they throw to him, he seems to catch. He's a tall, rangy guy, exactly what you're looking for in a tight end. The problem is he can't block a lick, and he's going to have to learn how to do that. So I don't think he's going to play in the playoff game. But I kind of like him as a 7th-round pick. I mean, they might have something with Dawson Knox and Tommy Sweeney as two young kids that they can develop, because I think Tyler Kroft's been a bum. Not a bum. I think he's been a waste. It's been a wasted year for Tyler Kroft. And at the money they're paying him, Leo, I'm thinking they might want to move on and just play the kids.
He had but he's
3 years.
Yes.
3 years, $18 million total. So
he's going to be.
They've got some investment there.
He's going to be here. Well, at least we've always talked ad nauseum about the Bills' tight end situation, but at least they go into next year with 3 guys we know can play.
They've got some people.
And I don't know about Kroft yourself. Lee Smith, I don't know. He's a nice
great guy in the locker
room. He's a nice
room.
veteran guy. Great quote, but I don't know what they need in him either.
Absolutely.
Me, but anyway,
Seth Missel is acknowledging Bills Mafia in Ireland. Love to see it.
Nice.
Very good. Seth also says Singletary is the man, and we've talked about that a little bit. I think Singletary will be a key player for them, obviously. I think the Bills would like to run the ball in this game. I also think that, we haven't really seen Josh Allen running the ball too much lately, which isn't a bad thing, but I also think that Josh Allen's at his best when there are called quarterback draws where he drops back and the C opens and he goes. We haven't seen any of that lately, and I think when he scrambles, he can be very dangerous. They have not had him running very much these last few weeks. I would guess in New England, I'm pretty sure they had somebody spying him, which was the problem. And I think Pittsburgh did the same thing too.
Texans got a good middle linebacker in Cunningham. 140 tackles, close to.
Yep. So I don't know if he's going to get out there.
Maybe he's going to have a role of.
But don't you think that Allen's legs in a game like this? We talked about Dable putting together a diverse game plan. I think Allen's legs have got to be a part of that game plan. I'm not crazy about some of the RPOs and the designed sweeps because he gets hit, but I think they have to give him free reign where, look, if you're dropping back, nobody's there, take off.
Yeah.
And I think they've kind of tried to held him in the pocket too long.
His QB draw has been very, very effective, and obviously with his size and his ability to see over everybody, and when it opens up like that, it's really, really dangerous. But they have, just like the Bills are concerned about keeping Watson in the pocket. The Bills want to do the Texans want to do the same with Josh Allen, and they want to hit him. They know that he fumbles. they want to attack the football. When he's in the pocket, you have to attack the football and get him to turn it over.
I think most defenses, Leo, they've seen enough of Josh Allen in the year and a half he's been a starter that you do want to make him a quarterback. That was the old line about Tyrod Taylor. Make him be a quarterback. Make him stand in there and prove he can beat you. And really, Josh Allen hasn't completely done that. He hasn't proven that he can stand in the pocket all day and pick a team apart. So I think you're right. The Texans are going to try to contain him, keep him in the pocket. They probably will spy him, I would guess, because you can spy Josh Allen because the Bills don't have that elite offensive talent where you're using one guy on Josh Allen and that weakens you somewhere else. The Bills don't. They just don't have that elite talent on offense yet where you'd have to worry about not having your middle linebacker or whoever it is dropping back to cover somebody. So I think that you might see that in this game on Saturday. All right, anything else you want to get to before we head down to Houston? You're coming with me.
Yeah,
you're
we're
flying.
on the road.
You're back in the air, Leo.
I know. I've been to a lot of road games this year, but we drove to all of them.
We've driven to them. Make sure your shaving bag 3 ounces or less.
Now we're going.
Don't pack a big toothpaste.
I haven't flown in many years, so
I know.
But we're going down, and we're going down with Jamie Germano, our photographer. So the DNC, we're going to cover this thing, and I hope people tune into what we have to offer over the weekend.
All right, folks. Enjoy the wild card game, 4:30 Saturday afternoon on ESPN, and as we said, we'll be down in Houston. So follow us right here at DemocratandChronicle.com. Take care, everybody.